Namaste, all you amazing, magical, infinite beings. Now, I know a lot of you are wondering what is a building level doing in the thumbnail of this week's vlog. Just like you would use this level in all building projects to see if something is level and in alignment of where it should be, we as the energetic, vibrational, infinite beings we truly be are also required to be at a certain level in order to have an optimal vibrational alignment with higher levels of consciousness, which allows us to grow, glow, and prosper on a soul level. Also helps us to make sure that we are heading towards enlightenment. And each and every single one of us is here to achieve spiritual enlightenment. Yes, I know a lot of us get really lost in this 3D earth game and the 3D earth reality. However, the moment you awaken to the truth and you remember who you are, your life will change. So in this week's vlog, we're going to flow through the levels of consciousness chart. Some of you may be familiar with it. Some of you may not. So if this is something that intrigues you, grab a cup of tea or coffee and let's dive into the chart. Consciousness chart, which I'm sure some of you are aware of and familiar with, and some of you may be completely brand new to this. So just like that level, that physical level, I'm just going to grab it here again, shows us if something in a building project or in a creation on the physical level is in vibrational alignment on a physical level. We too then get to have a look at our energy. Where is our energy at? What emotions are we sitting with that are creating our beliefs, creating our thoughts? And this chart is one of the most easy and most beautiful ways to actually get a sense of where you're at. And when you know where you're at, you get to change it. So let's have a look here. So the lower part of the levels of consciousness sit in fear and they sit in a state of contraction, which means you are mainly in a state of suffering and just getting by. And if we have a look at these emotions, the lowest one, feeling shame, heading to guilt, then to apathy, then to grief, then to fear, desire, anger, and pride. These are all sitting in those lower levels of consciousness. We know that a lot of the times this is perpetrated by the energy force that is governing the 3D earth realm. They desire for us to stay in these lower states of consciousness because when you're in a fear of contraction, try that again. When you're in a state of fear and contraction, you are not in your power. You are not aligned to your higher self. You are not in this flow, this pure Teo, this ultimate consciousness of really recognizing that you are not separate from the divine benevolent creator and the benevolent divine creatrix, that divine feminine energy, which is one energy. So you can see how things around us are done on purpose in order to keep us in these lower levels of consciousness. As I always say, awareness is your superpower because when you know better, universal law of action, you get to be and do better. So these again, is not to go into judgment if you've been in these states of lower levels of consciousness. It's that awareness to have that when you're in these lower levels of emotions and lower levels of consciousness, you are going to attract something that is on those similar lines of energy. You can only create when you start stepping into courage, which sits at 200. That's when you start opening up the flow. That means you have the courage to investigate your own belief systems. Are they still serving you? Are they still empowering you, or are they limiting you? You have the courage to look at your own life and take accountability and responsibility for what you've created up to this point, and knowing that you get to create something completely different by knowing that you are going to be in charge of what thoughts you're going to hold, what words you're going to use, what emotions you're going to sit with. This isn't also spiritual bypassing, because I want to make that very clear, because a lot of people are saying you people don't want to sit in these lower levels, so they bypass all the work that needs to be done just to sit in here. And that is not the case. Of course, inner work is required in order to look at all of these lower levels of emotions and lower levels of consciousness, to recognize why you are sitting in them. The great tool to go to, is this even mine? Who does this even belong to get a sense of whether, again, it's being projected at you from the force that runs the 3D earth realm? Or is it something going on in your own world that there's really stuck belief systems and stuck emotions that need to be looked at, and to send them love and light and to get clarity. And that is still where courage and neutrality and willingness come in, because when you are able to look at these lower levels of consciousness through the lens of courage, willingness, and neutrality, you are being the observer, observing the thoughts that are in the lower levels of consciousness and the emotions that sit in the lower levels of consciousness. You're not looking at it at a place of judgment. You're really just getting a sense of like, wow, what caused me to feel either shame, guilt, apathy, grief, fear, desire, anger, or pride? What's going on in my world? What thoughts am I entertaining? What am I really allowing in this energetic field of mine to manifest and to actualize? So it's really just getting completely honest with yourself from a place of no judgment, just of a place of observation and compassion. When you have done the inner work in all of these lower levels of emotions and beliefs, and really just seen, wow, so this is what created this and that, and this is what made me be in a state of contraction. Now I have the courage, the willingness, and the neutrality to actually step into the flow, to create something different, to choose something different. Remember, when we change our thoughts, we are changing our words, we're changing our belief systems, we are changing our energy. That is what is automatically assisting us to raise our vibration, to be in these higher levels of consciousness. So we've gone through courage, neutrality, and the willingness. Then you get to step into acceptance. You really do have that accountability and responsibility for accepting things the way that they are up until this moment in time. Recognizing that you played a part in co-creating your life up until this moment, and you have the power and ability to co-create something different. And that is where that acceptance comes in, just recognizing this is what it is. How do I change this? What can I be and do to change this? What can I step into in order to change this? And this type of reasoning goes into understanding your inner self, reasoning from the higher levels of consciousness, which is just being open to receiving guidance and messages from your spirit team, your angels, the guardian angels that surround you, the ascended masters, the archangels, and any other guide that is in your field and who is contracted to be in your field to guide you. That reasoning, it is divine reasoning, which comes from acceptance. It's no longer the ego butting in, self-sabotaging. It really is just having this openness to be like, wow, Spirit, what would you have me do? Spirit, where would you have me go? And let's just add in there divine benevolent spirit, because there's that whole saying, I'm spiritual. And the other person says, yes, but demons are spirits too. It's recognizing that spirit is both light and dark. So recognizing your benevolent, divine, light, spiritual team, as well as the benevolent, divine, light, spiritual beings that are around you, assisting you in every moment. And you will feel this expansion from them. It's very easy to start recognizing what energy is around you. If it's in contraction and you are feeling contracted, you know it's those lower levels of consciousness, those lower levels of vibration and energy and frequency, which is not going to serve you any purpose. It may feed your ego and the fear that it thrives off, and also the fear that the 3D earth realm force thrives off, that loosh. When you're in expansion, you're recognizing that you are tuning in and you are aligning to much greater, powerful, divine, light, benevolent forces and energetic beings, that their main aim is to bring love and compassion to the planet once more, which is where we step into this love and this joy and this peace. And ego is going to tell you that that is wishful thinking. The world is never going to get there again. There's too much greed. There's too much this. There's too much that. However, nothing changes if nothing changes. And if you in every single day are choosing to hold this love and joy and peaceful feeling within yourself, that inner peace, that inner joy, that inner love, we start with ourselves first. That is what self-mastery is all about, looking within. We're not casting blame on the outside. That is all these lower levels of consciousness and standing in this contraction state. In expansion, you're open up to loving yourself, to making sure that everything in your world is bringing you peace. And if it isn't bringing you peace, you are courageous enough to make those changes, to change whatever is required, asking the universe and your spiritual light being team to step in to actually bring some separation with the people who are no longer in vibrational resonance with you. And it's coming from a place of love. This isn't coming from a place of just wanting to toss people aside. It's recognizing that as you are moving up the levels of consciousness and you are heading towards enlightenment, you are vibrationally at a different energy, frequency, and vibration. It's you just beaming a different love and light energy out into the world for you first and foremost, and for the people around you. And because you're resonating at that high frequency, anything that is lower than that cannot even entertain that. So they just drift off. They start looking for other people who are in those lower levels of energy, because like attracts like. The same thing as when you're in these higher states of consciousness and in the state of expansion, you are going to attract more of the same. Yes, darkness is very attracted by bright lights, like a moth to the flame. However, when you are in these higher levels, you are able to transmute any darkness that comes in. Any of these lower levels of energy, you are able to transmute it by working with the violet flame energy, which is why all of these higher levels of consciousness is almost the same colors as the chakras. However, remember that we have 13 cosmic chakras. And as we start transcending our baseline chakras, the colors start to change. They get a lot lighter. There's almost this opaque energy that comes in, even though there is a color to it. Everything is so much lighter and brighter. However, this violet flame energy is where we get to transmute all the lower levels of consciousness, all the darkness that surrounds, because we're just beaming peace, love, and joy from this violet flame energy. It's not this harshness and negativity that we're coming in, that we're wanting to transmute everything from. It's from a place of love and compassion and kindness. And when you've spent enough time vibrating from love and joy and peace, you are heading closer and closer towards your enlightenment. And that's going to look different for each and every single person, because of what's in your soul contract, because of the experiences that you've chosen to go through, and because of whatever your soul is there yearning for and your higher self is busy guiding you to align with. So it's going to look different. Please acknowledge that there's no right, there's no wrong, there's no judgment of any kind. And as I said, this is a beautiful chart to keep referring back to on a day-to-day basis, so that you are mastering these higher levels of consciousness and making sure that that is where you're residing from, that is where you're operating from, and just recognizing when outside forces are asking you or pushing you to be in these lower levels of consciousness. Awareness is your superpower. Recognize what it is. And when you recognize what it is, you are able to make different choices. Hope you enjoyed this vlog, or you are amazing, magical, infinite beings. Pop down below in the comments if maybe you are familiar with the levels of consciousness chart and what your experience has been with that, or if you are brand new to it. Let me know if you had any aha moments or any nuggets of wisdom that came through for you. I'm always so grateful to hear from everyone. And if you were new to my channel and you stayed through the entire video, thank you, thank you, thank you. Welcome to the channel. Please consider subscribing if you do enjoy the content. And as always, YouTube algorithms, hit that like button. Please share this with someone that you may feel may benefit from it. And until the next vlog, sending you all much universal love, light, magic, and blessings. And I'll see you soon.